Hey, Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com, and we've had a lot of people asking us, sending emails in, and wanted to get my points about larger typewriters. So I'm saying 200 plus typewriters. What could be the advantages? What could help you out in getting involved in the sport? And what could prolong the use of the gear and equipment and make it go that direction? Now, what I want to talk about is a few things. Let's talk about harnesses. Now, a lot of the guys that are larger in size, a waist harness can definitely bother you a lot. The way that they ride up and the way that they're underneath your arms. So most of the guys we have are usually using a seat type harness that gives you a lower hook point, and it's definitely out of the way of your size wise. And there's a lot of things like Dakine, their Fusion is one of the most populars that we recommend. And the reason is they also have an extension belt on there. So if you need to extend this belt out any more in its size, Dakine has already made this. This is the belt extension and can be added into any of their harnesses, but right onto the Fusion. It's very simple. You Velcro it on, it extends that out. So this elastic belt definitely gives that range to it. Most of the leg straps and everything, these do extend out. They're neoprene, they do stretch. And when you get up into they make this harness in a lot of big sizes. They have the extra large, and then if you add the extension on there, it's amazing. So that's the most popular when it comes into the harness wise that I recommend. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is boards. What happens when you're a heavier rider is you're going to need more surface area to get you riding on the water, get up on that plane. So on the board wise, you're definitely going to want to go up in size wise, not just in length, but a lot of width. As a light rider like myself, if a board is anything over about a 41 centimeter width, I really have a hard time driving the rail into the water when I get any kind of speed. So anything over the 41, you're talking about more in the size and the width wise of being about a 42 up to even to all the way up to a 48 in width. That'll give you that surface area without going too big. So you don't always have to go with it in length, but it does help you out. I would recommend anyone in the 200 plus range. The smallest and the shortest that you would ever want to go on a board is in the upper 137 centimeters in length. That is probably the smallest. The reason is you got to stay powered all the time, so your range decreases, and you don't need to go any smaller than that. I highly recommend trying something that's about the 140 range being the smallest, and going up to the 140 in the upper 140s or whatever. But don't forget the width. The width is so important. Don't go with anything less than about a 42 centimeter width and go all the way up to, you could go up to about a 48 centimeter width. I wouldn't go much bigger than that. If that starts to happen, it just gets too light. But the rocker and everything else. Now, the other thing in boards that I highly recommend when you're heavier weight is getting a board that does have carbon in it. Carbon it's not for the lightweight, it's the stiffness in the board. So what happens is if you get like a fiberglass type board and you're pushing that rail a whole lot and you've got a lot of load on it, you will push way more rocker than the board was designed for. And what happens is you begin to push the water, you're not skipping on the water, which is what you should do when you are kiteboarding. So if you're looking around to get a board, make sure you get a board that does have some carbon in it or is full carbon. It will absolutely help you out in your riding, and you will keep that board for a lot longer. So if you have any questions on that, let us know. You can see a few boards behind me here, and lengthwise, widthwise, these are low-end type boards, whereas if I was riding this Nash, I would have a hard time pushing this rail in. But if someone's in the 200-pound range, you have no problem. It's got a great rocker line to it, a good outline to it, so it's still a lot of fun for that riding-wise. So making sure that you get something with shaping and has good stiffness to it. That's what's very important in picking the board. So the last thing I want to talk about is the kites and the kite rigging and everything else. Now, talking about bars and rigs, bars pretty much are all tested to take all the rating and the load of anyone way up into the 200 range or plus. The ratings on the lines and everything else, you should not ever have an issue with it. The only time you would is you definitely need to keep up with wear and tear. Any knots in the fly lines, any wear on the pigtails on the ends or something like that. Or the chicken loop line. When the chicken loop line starts seeing wear, be aware that you could be pushing that bar system to a limit a lot sooner than I would. They are rated very high to take that load, so I really don't have much problem if I get some wear and tear on there. But you definitely, if you're heavier weight, you want to check your system more regularly for failures before they happen. That's not the fun time to know when it does go and have any problems with it. So other than that, on the Barton systems, stick with that. Now, let's talk about kites. Kite rigs, when you're a larger size, is you want to get into something that has a good low aspect to it. And what I mean by low aspect, this is a switchblade behind me. You want it longer in the center and shorter on the tips, basically. You don't want to look all high aspect, real skinny and slender. Those kites do not give you that good low end grunt that it helps that heavier type rider get the pull to get up and ride. So you want a good low aspect kite. And you've got the North Rebel, you've got the Switchblade from Cabrina, Slingshot does the turbine range, really nice kites. Ozone has their Zephyr and their Catalyst range, or the Enduro. Some of those give you some low-end grunt. But you want to talk to the shops. Talk to someone out there. Give us a call here. We can definitely help you out to match you up exactly for the right kite gear. Now, the reason too, behind me here, I have the Switchblade pumped up, is because another thing that you want to look at for heavier weight is get 5 struts. You don't want, some of the 3-strut kites, they're fine. You need to test them out, definitely load them. But a 5-strut kite definitely helps you out in that range, like the Zephyr, the Switchblade. The reason is it supports that cell a lot more. What happens is when you're riding, you'll load the kite and all cell material stretches. Period. And when that starts to stretch, you can stretch it out a lot more and load that kite a lot more than I personally could. So more struts, keep that cell aligned and decrease the stretch where it's most important, which is where all the shaping is through the kite. So more struts will absolutely help you. The other thing is, a lot of people don't understand, is why does a bigger kite put more load on the rigging system and putting the wear and tear on the kites and your gear? The reason is, when you're down in the water, if you're a heavier rider, or even a rider like myself, when I fall and I go into the water, the load of which can be pulled on the gear system is unbelievable. I've had some people just ripping connection points out of kites and stuff like that back in the day, and it is amazing. Once you're in the water, the drag that you cause when you try to be pulled by it, or the kite misturns or something like that. So you definitely want to check all your system regularly a lot more when you're a heavier rider. Another thing on the kite gear and stuff, something with less pulleys is another thing that will help you out through your wear and tear. We've had a lot of guys that enjoy certain kites that have a lot of pulleys on them. We spend a lot of time replacing some of those, and when they do break, it's not a good thing. They take a lot of load, so you want to inspect your gear and equipment. Anyway, I hope this helps everybody out. We've had a lot of those questions, and we want to make sure to answer those and help you out. Anyway, that's Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com, so we hope we can get all you bigger riders out there riding with us and having a great day.